John Major, here I go on to. It's the reason why I make Dog really take part in the pool business because they say Dan Anderson is a big PMP man, you know. And if you listen to him poll them, Dan Anderson and RJ they poll them now. And Joseph Matalan are the chairman for all them, for Cleaner Group, RJR, JBC and TVJ Group, you know. So them are the things to make Mark Bowley look good. But me want, you see the third term, me want the Labour administration put this in place. Say, anybody that come out and mislead the people them to hold accountable. To hold accountable for their wrongs.
But Jamaica first.
Yeah.
We cannot trust any poll that Dananso had done because
Dananso sit down with them polling now.
Yes, he has no credibility.
Yeah,
no. He has no credibility in his polls. And guess what? If you are a patriotic Jamaican and you are doing a poll and you cannot honest, because it is alleged that he's collecting money from the People's National Party to conduct polls and put it.
Karen Cross come out to the brawl and talk so. And 411.
But guess what happened? We have saw it with Andrea Moore. When Andrea Moore died, and they use those utterances during the funeral to say that they conduct poll, and we would have heard it with Lawrence Rowe. So and then guess what? Based on the poll, if Dan Anderson came out with a poll and said that the Prime Minister is ahead of the opposition, then he will go back and say that the opposition party is ahead. That's how contrary Dan Anderson poll is.
Prime Anderson talk about we didn't go poll them. They need to come down.
You know, Brownie,
peacefully and stop misleading the country.
I just want to branch off on something a little different here.
Yes, John Major.
All right. Let's say all the bags of goodies that Mark Golding promised in the Parliament in the budget debate. Although he say it wasn't a budget debate, it was his plan for the next 5 years. But anyhow, with what is happening now in the world in terms of the uncertainty in the global market, and with the war, the pending war in the Middle East, where 20%
John Major, not go there, so I said normally if you go there some more time, then flag alive. So make a left for them business and talk about for the business or something.
Yeah man, it's our business. What I'm trying to say, the point I'm trying to make is that how the future look. We need a government with a steady hand.
That's what I said last night.
We need a government that will be fiscally prudent.
Right.
We need a government who are not going to come and run with it.
Sure.
We need a government who will continue to navigate the country through treacherous waters. This Prime Minister got the green light from the IMF that he could run a 3% deficit for this fiscal year, but the Prime Minister refused not to. And what I'm trying to say to you, Jamaican people, with what's happening in the world and the uncertainty that lie ahead of us, it is a good thing that the Prime Minister have not run a 3% fiscal deficit, right? Because this can chew off our country if things not straighten out itself in the next 2 weeks.
I said the same thing to last night. I shared the same sentiments last night. I was gonna, and that's what I was saying.
Panel, we have a next January here, you know. When they call Lewis.
Okay, I'm gonna let Carl speak.
We have Carl January now.
Yeah,
we have a call, I said.
Please to come and give away.
Yeah, man. You know, as usual, it's always a pleasure for me to join up with the idea, man. You know, and share ideas and so. And we just, this morning is an encouraging morning because with this like a fake poll with Dan Anderson come out with, you know, one no labor right get down to the start worry or not, because if you look on the poll, the full poll when bring out last year 2024, September 2024, the PNP lead by 9 points according to him. February of this year, the PNP are lead by 4 points. And now the PNP are lead by 3 points. Me and others, they don't know where Dan Anderson up to. And let me tell you this. Whenever you see Dan Anderson put out an next poll, trust me, he might go say it a dead heat. So he might try to protect himself. We know how him operate already because he want to save face and save himself. So that means him just left it open.
Well,
But
can I tell you something
what
now?
us to do is to continue for pushback and for highlight the flawed and the foolishness when him continue to do, I say. But
well,
here, Satan camera pan
No,
behind the headline yesterday.
about this and people there. Let's tell you something now. Dan Anderson can't drive no fear of nobody in Jamaica, you know. Because we know Dan Anderson already on poll. We have a thing they call the blue dot. It Jamaica people are follow right now because Dan Anderson need to resign from polling now. And so the RJR group have him there due to the fact that they are every time when time them come is Dan Anderson. Dan Anderson time now up now. Nobody's listening to Dan Anderson now. And we're supposed to have a legislation to take down Dan Anderson from polling because every polling he come with, he predict, he lost those, he failed. So once he are feeling those polling, I think he need to step down from that. I think RJR, I think legislation need to go in for an RJR now and take him down.
And let me say something. Let me say something pertaining to what you're saying, Spikey. I remember last year, before we had the 2 by-election, the one in Chilani and the one in where Dr. Nigel Clark had resigned from. I remember that the PNP with the Danandi support, they said that they were leading at 11 points ahead. They were leading the JLP 11 points ahead. But yet they were afraid to contest the 2 by-election.
Yeah.
Because they were talking the truth. And we all know that. It's time now for Danandiso and the RJR group of company along with Mark Golding start from trick Jamaican people and tell Jamaican people lies. And that's the reason why it is very dangerous.
Yeah.
For us to consider those persons to put them in our parliament because they have no credibility. They are so dishonest.
That is why I'm saying, Browning, we have legislation in Jamaica can remove Dan Anderson from that position. Even the RJR group, we have legislation in Jamaica. I want to go into the constitution and read about it. If they refuse to remove him, that simply means RJR have no license to broadcast in Jamaica. Simple ABC. So enough people may think that the constitution is only for one certain type of thing. It is there. It's only through the fact that people now go visit it and read it up. I want people to go and do them research. Because this thing with this Dan Anderson thing are going for too long now. Be misleading. And he predict a lot of elections say the PNP don't win and the PNP lost. So remember in a Portia simple time when him say Portia.
Yes,
you understand? So we don't want to hear that from no more Dan Anderson. And I think people need to do a peaceful demonstration about Dan Anderson and remove him from RJR group. Simple A, B, C, and not get no more employment from no person for evil. Take away his license. Simple A, B, C.
Go Spikey.
We need to stand up now. We need to stand up now and do certain things now.
Dan and this and evil use the full the something the poll. In the party itself, in the PNP party, they use it against candidate, the fake poll. They use it against candidate when they want to remove them. Lawrence Rowe would have came out and said that.
We know.
I remember in 2016, and up to last night me I talk about it. I remember in 2016, the morning of the election, before I go up on the road to work, Dan Anderson was on RJR attack, doing an interview with some journalists. And Dan Anderson's argument was, it is impossible for the GLP to win the election. That was his argument 2016. And we all know how the election did it go. No worry we.